I'm debating about this, but I think this will be okay. I hope so. I hope so. This is a band I love called The Big Push. They're from Europe. They're from the UK. It's a song they improvised primarily, I think. You can find it on YouTube. Big Push. I Shot the Sheriff. Road to Zion. Yeah. It's quite a mix, isn't it? Love The Big Push. Much love to The Big Push. Please check them out.
You sit all around in my hometown. People try to track me down. For a crime that I did not commit. Yes, if for a mother of a deputy, say for a life of a deputy. But I said, Peter shot the sheriff. I did not shoot no deputy. Every was in self-defense. I said, Sheriff John Brown, that man hated me. For what? I just don't know.
He's trying real hard to sound deeper than he is.
Whenever I would try to plant a seed,
I love it though.
he would say, kill it before it grows. He would say, kill it before it grows. But I said, because I deserve it, I did not shoot no deputy.
That's a big push, everybody. The Big Push. You check them out. That's a British band. British punk, kind of, sort of pop punk, I guess. Say pop punk because there ain't no way in hell you're ever gonna catch Rancid covering Bob Marley.
dirty looks and grudges and jealousy. Meet the clowns, them and abuse in their put up, but meet the clowns that not for nothing but that. Boom. The young trendsetter come on, more the damn slow. When I bust a trigger finger like bam bam it do. When I bust a trigger finger, come on, here we go. Burst on in la la la, here we go. Got to keep it moving on the road to Zion. Got to keep it burning on the road to Zion. To keep it burning on the road. I got to keep it burning.
Harder to maintain your physique.
Is
As
this
you
my
get older,
segue?
it naturally becomes harder.
Is this
No,
where I advocate
no.
for a vegetarian diet that won't actually make you gain weight as you grow older?
I wouldn't advocate for that. I would not advocate for that. I mean, it's great if you want to suppress testosterone levels and all that other shit. So yeah.
Well, I want to hear from you, Mr. Marte, why you believe dating sites are just attention factories. Let's start there. I want you to make the claim.
So my claim that they are attention factories is because you have to think that when you go to the casino, when you hit several times, there's a massive amount of dopamine that occurs. So I've been on different podcasts, several podcasts actually, and I've asked to see people's phones, and I'll say, ladies, can I see some of your phones if you're okay with that? And they'll show me their inboxes. It's like they have so much confirmation there. And of course, you have the paradox of choice here. It's almost like they leave knowing what they already assumed about themselves from hearing from the sisterhood. You go over to the guys section of it, and it's like they have Bertha and then maybe somebody else in their DMs, and you know, maybe like a 5 or something. I'd hate to put numbers on people because it's really subjective, but it's like the guys are happy because they got like 1 or 2, but the women, they're flooded with so much praise and inundated. It's just dopamine after dopamine hit, and then they go, and then if somebody says, "Hey, you know, you look about average," it's the most offensive thing they've heard. And it's like when you tell them, "Hey, you look beautiful," they've heard that 50,000 times before on a date. So it's like an overcorrection of attention, I think.
Marte, do you believe that men are supposed to be the one who initiate relationships?
I think that can go both ways, actually. We've changed it a lot in modernity. So it just depends.
What do you mean
but
by initiate?
here's the thing, though.
You know
it
what
bodes,
I mean? Like,
I think it
what
bodes
the
well
fuck
for a
kind of
man
question is that?
to initiate. I think it's better for men to do that because whenever you start doing things, you want to continue like a pattern, a behavior of leadership, things like this. I think it's great for men to do that.
Well, if a man's initiating, wouldn't that naturally mean that women would have more men, you know, offering to go out with her and stuff?
That's true. That's true. So I will counter that actually. And here's how I'm going to counter that. Dating sites have, a swipe button, right? The women don't have to say yes or have a certain approach. A swipe isn't necessarily an approach. How come we're not seeing a amount of swipes, which is just a neutral? I think a swipe is a neutral opening position. It's not a message. It's not anything. Doesn't put any pressure on her to say anything. It's still up to the man to make this choice. Yet when you look in inboxes, you'll see a ton on the women's side. She could be 200 pounds, 5'3". She's still getting flooded way more than, chat. And that's usually what I've seen.
One thing to consider is that women tend to like to get to know men more before they like.
Well, I mean, one thing to consider is that all your stereotypes are not necessarily fucking valid. I mean, some men like to get to know women too.
Most stereotypes are true, right?
It's not entirely true. Is my point? It's not entirely true.
Yeah,
I for one will say that I like to get to know a woman before I sleep with her.
Very cool, buddy. I wasn't finished. So
yeah, go ahead, Mel. I know you were interrupted. I apologize.
They're very selective, and so they might be getting to know multiple guys at the same time. Since these places are also a shit show for women, where most guys think they can act like total fucking horn dogs, and that will get them laid.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to ask Marte, do you think that these men sliding into their DMs or whatever, Do you think they're choosing to go out with all of them?
I think that all I can give you is anecdotes. That's all I'm going to offer you because I don't have any peer review data or anything like that. But in my experience, a lot of men do. They do take an offer because what happens is that when you have a shortage of a supply on one end, men are going to take what they can get for the most part. And that's not to say like what the other guy was saying, stereotypes aren't often common, right? But most often are. So when we talk about men taking what they can get, I think it's true. They will most likely do this. I think, I mean, I would just guess maybe 75% out of 100 would take it. So
I was wondering about
Go ahead,
your.
Ryan. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ryan.
I wanted to push back against one thing you said earlier about there not being any
Ryan.
pressure with a right swipe, because I mean I've
Go ahead,
been on
Ryan.
these dating apps and I'm talking.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, you're talking. I think they're just
Yeah.
fucking with you.
They're just fucking with me. I gotcha. All right. So I've been on these dating apps, and I do actually feel pressure when I'm swiping right on someone. I want to make sure that I'm swiping right on someone that I'm actually interested in talking to. I didn't used to feel this way as much when I first started using these apps years ago, but nowadays I'm much more selective about who I let in my life and stuff. And I find myself being concerned about it. Like I swipe right on someone. Sometimes I unswipe because I'm like, oh, actually, I don't want to match with that person, and then have them sitting in my inbox and expecting a conversation with me. So I imagine that women feel a lot of those same pressures.
I'm going to push back against that.
Let me ask a logistical question. Does somebody have like a reverb or something turned on? Okay, because I was hearing it wasn't just Ryan. It was when Mel was talking too, and there was like some kind of reverb coming back. All right, go ahead.
So Ryan, I'm going to push back against that. The reason why I'm going to say it's neutral is because when we look at modern day, we can go ahead and look at the modern day equivalent outside of dating apps, because surely there must have been a functional equivalent that existed before this. And you know what that is? That's her just showing up and then looking at you from across the bar. How much pressure is that just to lean against the bar and do a glance? Can you tell me how that?
Also, I mean, that also can be a lot of. I mean, yeah, of course, that can also cause like social pressure. Like,
can you demonstrate that though?
So a guy might see you, glance over at him, and assume that you want him to approach you when you don't, or that you have different intentions with him than you do. And that, I mean, but that's actually, there's more pressure that comes from the swipe right, because you are signaling with a right swipe, you are signaling I'm interested. That's what a right swipe is.
Hang on. Isn't there some different intention here?
I would actually say a right swipe means I have an attraction. It doesn't necessarily signify I'm interested, because you still haven't been able to. Yeah, it's just like I see you. It's just if we were at the bar and Ryan, you're across the room and I look at you and I'm like, all right, pretty cute, And then you come over and start talking to me, and you're like, "Hi, I'm Ryan," and I like.
I agree.
Cheese.
Which,
there is no interest level. I was just merely attracted to you.
So that's
right. So that interest is going to diminish.
When you show up, though, when you show up to the bar, what Sarah was just, what she did was she magnified my whole point, Ryan. You could show up to the bar all you want to. Let's say that you had no intention, Ryan. You showed up to the bar. You didn't say anything, and you just happened to see somebody, even though your intention wasn't to date, wasn't to flirt, wasn't to bed anybody, right? And you just happen to look, and they just happen to be there, right? And nobody can really designate what your intention is by just showing up, right? I mean, when you're saying that, I think it's a bit hyperbolic to say, well, no, that's the whole intention. There's more pressure to write a message, to give a thought that's concise, and to write an intention than to swipe right. All you're doing is showing up. That's all you're doing.
I agree. Sorry, I agree that there's more pressure when it comes to the actual message, the actual conversation starting, but there is that pressure is being established, like the potential energy that leads to the kinetic energy of the conversation that is established at the right swipe. When you're saying, hey, I'm potentially interested in this person, doesn't mean that you are going to go on a date with them, but you are signaling that you are potentially interested in them. So when you say it's neutral, it sounds like women should really just be swiping right on every guy to give every single guy a chance. But you want to be selective with this stuff because you don't want to match with every guy.
I never even said that. But go ahead.
And let me interrupt for just a moment. For the record, I have Spicoli backstage, but the panel is currently full. If you want to hear from Spicoli, you know what to do, folks.
I think you contradicted yourself,
Marte.
Go ahead. I'd love to hear this.
Just real quick, because you're talking about attention, but one of the big things is like the comparison to the bar points out that like there's no FaceTime there with the app, right? And that's attention. And so if anything, there's less attention with the app. And I think what people really are getting out of it is ease of use, right? You don't have to put on your makeup. You don't have to get all dolled up and stuff like that just to maybe get a connection with somebody. And that is more convenient.
So this is where I'm going to go ahead and refute your point. And of course, I'm on here to counter, and I love countering people. This is all in non taking anything personal. So here's the thing, though. I'll reiterate back to my original point. When women do look at their phones, they're going to see a list. And not to mention, not only is there a list, but oftentimes there is messages with the hello, beautiful. How many times are you going to hear beautiful along with these swipes? Usually, oftentimes, it's not that men swipe, but they oftentimes take initiative if they got something pretty on the other line. So not only are they reviewing this, because you could say, well, they don't have to dress up, do makeup. That's already been taken care of them for their, catalog of photos and stuff. They've already done that. So that's been done too. So that's thrown out. And then when they look through this list, this catalog, they're being inundated with messages reiterating the fact that they're beautiful, reiterating the fact that they're gorgeous and all this other stuff. And that's where the attention is. They're being told this. Whenever you read something, you always hear a voice in your head, don't you? That's what they're doing. And it's
Let me ask a question then, Marte. Is that her fault that all of these men are telling her she's beautiful, or is
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. What I'm saying is though, I think this is my opinion.
You're saying that we should not do that. You're saying that we ought not do that.
Hey, it's just a tool, but it magnifies our behavior, right? I think this is what apps do. They magnify what's already out there. So saying that it makes things worse isn't really saying anything. It's just magnifying what's already out there. If you are a person that deletes people and does certain things, there's a system out there that's going to magnify it. We have things like this in society.
I agree. Why should we not do that? Why? What is the justification for the ought? Why should we not do that?
Well, I never said that we ought not do it or ought do it or made it is claim or ought claim.
I know, but you implied an ought claim in that doing these things are bad for society and bad for women in the first place. I just said
it's an attention factory because this could be attention can either be good or bad. It depends on the person that's perceiving how they want the attention to be perceived. Meaning, like, if I'm some narcissistic personality running amok on the internet, I could see something and have a different response to something, whether somebody else can get that. And it could just, so that's what I'm saying. I can't go into those variables right now, even though debates have semantics and those are extremely important.
I'm sorry, that's all a debate is boiling things down to semantics and understanding oughts and not oughts, right?
I agree. I can eliminate.
The point of what he's asking is you're saying it is a problem, but he's asking, well, then what ought we do? Like, what's the point? If it is a problem, right? Problems usually come with solutions, not whining and bitching. So if it is a problem, he's asking you what's the ought that derives from that.
Fair.
I'd hate to say this, but I think
there's also, we could also have a conversation about whether or not the problem, like what the problem is exactly, like whether we're identifying the problem properly, right? So if we're saying number one, like when it comes to the topic being that dating apps are just attention factories, whatever, like obviously like a huge amount of modern relationships begin on dating apps. So that's something that's happening from these. It's more than just attention. It's actual real world relationships that's being established. So first of all, that's a fact of the matter that I would dispute. And the second fact, the second fact of the matter, when we talk about the way you describe women getting like tons of messages that like you're beautiful, there's also this law of diminishing return, right? Like you don't feel this, you're not gonna feel like, oh my god, this guy thinks I'm beautiful, oh my god, this guy thinks I'm beautiful every single time. It's like all these guys want to fuck me, all these guys want to put their dick in me. Half of them aren't going to call me afterwards. Half of them aren't even going to half of them are probably going to come immediately.
I'm glad you brought that up because what's the other end of this? If we talk about diminishing returns, think about the possible implications of what it does on the other end of this. We now have rising depression rates. We now have people looking down on certain things in society. It's also magnifying, and I'm not like shitting on men here too, but at the same time, I'm also saying that the problem is on men's side too, because a lot of men will use this as a hookup factory. It's not just attention, but it's like, oh, there's no work or no struggle or no suffering for me having to have bravery to approach her at a bar or anything like that. Thus, when you eliminate all this other stuff and you're shielding somebody behind something, they say things they wouldn't normally say in public to your face. It's just rife with abuse when you do this. And I think when you eliminate bravery and things when it comes to courting, it ends up rife with more abuse on that side of it.
And let me interrupt for just a moment, just for logistics. Hold on, Spicoli. I'll give it back to you. Just a sec. James sent in the Big Ten, and he says send Zerzus to the back and bring on Spicoli. Zerzus, hang tight because Spicoli usually is very short-lived on here. So yeah, and go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead, Ryan.
Don't mind if I do. I guess I you know what, I will. I'll take Kat up on that. I'll say more. Yeah, I mean, I think that it really is important to hammer that down, that like so many relationships do start on these apps. So that's really important, the first important thing.
Bad one.
And
wind it up.
I'm gonna let someone else go. That was the main thing I really wanted to hammer down.
I know you want to talk.
All right, let me finish taking my pipe hit. First of all, you guys are being way too generous by calling Tinder, these dating sites, hookup sites or hookup factories, whatever. What they are is they're attention hoe factories. They're trick tease factories. What they are is they're places where simps go
factories.
To whatever they are. They're places where simps go to swipe right. Wait, let me repeat this. Please. Let me repeat the
difference between Facebook and YouTube.
Let him go, Furby. Let him go. God damn it.
Let him finish his
Let me go. Furby, shut the fuck up, you fruitcake. It takes 1,000. They have figured it out. It takes about 1,000 swipes, right? And you'll be lucky if you stick your penis in a vajayjay. So it takes 1,000 swipes to get laid. They figured it out. They figured out it takes 200 swipes to get 5 chicks to respond to you. Out of 5 chicks, you're going to get maybe 1 date. So times that by 5. If you do 1,000 swipes, you'll get maybe 5 dates and you'll fuck 1 out of those 5. So in other words, if you got to swipe right 1,000 times to get your dick wet, it's a complete fucking waste of time, and you're gesturing.
This is the trouble of capitalism right here. This is the trouble of capitalism. You try 1,000 times and you only get your dick wet 50.
No, shut up. We're not talking. What do you know? You're not a guy. You're not a chick. You don't know. You're coming at it from a trans person. Trans people have it different.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
You're not a woman. You're not a dude. You're caught in limbo.
I have a partner.
Okay. But Spicoli, other people have.
Let me finish. It's an attention hoe factory.
No, I'm going to tell you to shut up for a minute. Listen, you have to allow people the ability to talk and give you feedback based on what you're saying. And let's move 1 point at a time. So EOD, I believe you were trying to chime in there and kind of push back or whatever the case was.
A little bit. I'm trying to support Spicoli here, really. Just very briefly, and it's just that there's just so much fucking absurdism, ad absurdism in the cultural Marxism that's fucking waylaid our society right now.
Cultural Marxism, cool. So what's the difference between
preach some more of it? Let's see it.
Like Tinder. What's the difference between sites like Tinder and sites like Facebook or TikTok, stuff like that, where people literally just try to get attention on there?
I don't know much about it.
They're all attention factories.
Go ahead, Finkel.
Okay, so are we on an attention? Sorry, I just want to follow up with what Spicoli said real quick.
You're a narcissism factory. You're a narcissist, Mel. You're a narcissist.
This is why you don't last long, because you can't wait your turn. Please wait. Mel, follow up, and then back to Finkel, please.
Spicoli, are we currently on an attention factory right now?
I would say so.
What?
I'm trying to get attention. It's not working.
You're a narc, Mel. Mel, you are a narc.
Shut up, Fink. Shut up, Spicoli. Go ahead, Finkel.
All right. I don't know much about these dating apps, but it sounds like with all that math that Spicoli has done a lot of research. When you guys or ladies, when you use these dating apps, kind of a role place. When I used to meet women in bars, I'm assuming the hookup was for the same reason as the dating app. How do you know? How do you know? I mean, obviously, the guy and the gal in the bar are probably a little tipsy and aren't very honest. How do you know that the write-up that you're swiping, was it left, right, up, down to? How do you know that's real? And even nowadays, how do you know it's not chat? What do you call it?
Chat GPT, yeah.
Usually it is a fucking scam, but that's beside
How do you know it doesn't have a penis? How do you know it doesn't have a penis?
You don't fucking know. You don't know.
Well, in the bar, mentioning the
trans
bar,
people,
in
right,
the bar,
guys?
how do you know
Right?
the person in the bar isn't?
Go ahead, Zers.
How do you know the person in the bar isn't also just seeking attention or free drinks?
Oh
or
yeah, no,
whatever?
they usually are. They usually are.
Night, you end up with nothing at all. There's nothing
They are.
different within the bar that I see that's within a dating app. Now,
But it's harder.
They're
that
all
women
attention
have no
whores.
reason to swipe or no obligation to swipe forward. I noticed you didn't mention that on men, and that's strange. I don't think anybody should have an obligation to
No.
say yes. And I also think that your other argument about women get so much more information, so much more comments, so much more, prodding for their date. Wouldn't that give them a
Simping.
need to
simping.
kind of
Simping.
analyze who they're choosing before
They can't
they
do this.
actually choose to date? Because of course, if 500 guys are throwing themselves at them, which one's really wanting to, make a meaningful relationship, or which one's just wanting to hook up for the evening?
I'm glad
It's
you brought
kinda
that
hard
up.
to
So
tell.
this leads to my next point, though. So when you go ahead and eliminate in presence IRL, culture, you go ahead and remove a skill set that people have adopted through ages of culture to go ahead and approach. Approach will always determine response. We can all agree on that, right? So if you do not develop these traits, these skill sets that we do need in real life to approach people to do things, you're handicapping yourself in real life if you have to go ahead and do things. Do you think that society as a whole is dumbing themselves down culturally when it comes to the dating culture? I think that's a problem, and I think that we are developing this in mass as a handicap.
Well, that's what
with this,
school's
you're
for.
assuming that the person that is on the dating app isn't also checking out the bar scene. You're making an assumption that isn't guaranteed.
Also,
this is
that's
the
what school
universal.
is for, right? Like
bar scene.
School is when kids learn to socialize. It's when they learn how to do all the IRL stuff.
Well, wait a minute. Occasionally, Furby, you will agree. You will agree that you meet somebody in the bar that you don't like, right?
Make an argument that like we should.
I mean, Furby.
Would
Yeah,
Furby?
I'm trying to finish.
About everybody in the bar.
I'm not listening to anything any motherfucker says until I finish my point.
Shut up. K2, keep on trucking. A with the big 2 says, "What's up, my fella ginger?"
Oh shit, fire! I'm not a ginger. I'm not ginger. That's bullshit. I'm not. I'm like it's blonde. It's blonde. I swear.
No.
It's got to be the
red.
lighting. It looks
So
red.
red.
Okay, fine.
Okay, you need to fix the white
You
balance.
said last week. Hold on. You said last week
Blonde
that
Weasley looking ass.
it was like I didn't wash my
Well,
hair yet, so
I did wash it today. That's not an excuse today. I'll take the
Tinkle.
shade off my fucking lamp. I'll turn on
What's wrong with your face?
What do you got? A red
Floating.
lampshade?
What's wrong with your face, fucking Furby? We can't see your face. Why can't
It's a
we see your
Furby.
face, Furby?
There you go.
Nice.
Show us, Furby.
Right.
So
Show
let me
'em how
move
cute
the
you
let
are.
me let me shift the topic
Look,
because
it's
somebody,
yellow. It's fucking yellow. Come on.
This is a good topic
Denial.
shift. Somebody wanted to say about advocation of fat camps. You got to get those people skinny to help the overweight problem we have in the U.S. and energy productivity throughout the U.S.
Yes.
I agree.
So, would you be an advocate? Would anybody on this panel not
Yes.
want to push that?
No, I'm against it.
No,
I
push
want
it.
to push an idea.
I'm for it. Yeah.
I think that I think the whole idea of make America healthy again, which is an idea brought to us by our beloved Trump administration, is such a good one. It's been left out of our country's culture for so long.
Since
And,
1913, when we instituted the national income tax.
Hold on, let him finish.
They have been putting poison. They have been putting poisonous chemicals in our food for too long.
That's something
it's causing cancer.
RFK's fixing that.
Let him
finally have someone taking care of it. Thank you. I'm done.
Finish.
Hey.
So that's misinformation.
Sea
There's
level
not
is
necessarily
down.
poisonous chemicals in our food. There are things that you might consider to be unhealthy.
RFK is fixing that shit. Okay. Red 40 is poisonous. Okay. There's some kind of.
I'm about to be a real big bitch
don't
here
do that.
in just a second. We all know
good.
the rules here. No, but everybody's talking over each other, and you all know I hate.
I'm gonna do what my puppy does to me.
You're still talking over me. Okay. I would like to get back to the topic without everybody trying to talk over each other. Mel, I think you made a point, and I have no fucking clue who was trying to follow up because everybody went at once.
Can I just reiterate the last thing I said real quick? Because I think I got talking over there as well. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or whatever the fuck his name is. I don't keep track that much.
His name is Robert F. Kennedy
not,
Jr.
like-
Yes, that's correct.
He's not making anyone healthier.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I did appreciate that. I did appreciate that. But
Mel, I love your hat.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mel.
He's not making anyone healthier by all the cuts he's doing to the National Institute of Health.
A kissy cat with a big 10 says, at Mel, stolen valor. Kissy cat is greater than fox cat.
No, it's ox cat. See, they rhyme.
Cat.
Ox cat is greater than fox
Stolen
cat.
valor is the worst sin that anyone can possibly fucking commit. So that's an excellent.
And then Mike Ball doing me a big favor. Redhead, you got 5 minutes in the back. Thank you so kindly. I will set your timer now.
So hold on.
I think the food is making us trans.
Hold on,
Sarah,
Chloe.
the
And
food is
then
turning
Well,
us
that's
trans.
gay.
on trucking in with the big 2 says the chemicals in the water are turning your head. I'm red.
Turn
I'm
your hair
guessing he
red.
meant
Red. He meant
I
red.
think
He meant
to say
red. Yeah.
It's all turning your hair red.
I think it means your head exploded.
Yeah, he did. He put it in here. Red. Yeah, thank you, K2. All right.
So
Go ahead.
I would
Go
say, like, number one, the problem with fat camps, it's not just that, like, the name is ridiculous, but a lot of these operate on shame and crash diets and, like, focus on, like, hyper short-term results instead of actually, like, educating people about health or giving them long-term support. And so if we actually care about people's physical health, then we should be investing in accessible nutrition, mental health care, and community-based fitness, not sending kids off to be punished for existing in larger bodies. And
I
also,
think Sam is good.
Another good thing to make sure that they're teaching people how to not be
a lot of kids come back from these camps with eating disorders, okay, which is not a healthier habit. You're not healthy if you come back with a fucking eating.
Go ahead, Zers.
Bring fat shaming back, Ryan.
Hold on,
Bring fat
Spicoli.
shaming
Go ahead.
back.
Hold on, Spicoli. Zers, you were saying
yeah, another
something.
good thing is to make sure that
It's okay.
is to make sure that we're teaching our children from the start not to eat poor. And one way that we do so is with school lunches. The crap they give kids in school lunches is crazy. And then when they come home, they immediately hit the house and they're given more junk food treats, potato chips, and snacks and stuff like that. So it doesn't necessarily, it's not just a function of the apps that are causing this. It's our society that has caused it.
So just to bring some
It's
clarity
got
to this
fucking
issue.
fat
By the
tips
way,
too.
I'm
Guys,
Go ahead,
fat
Mel. Go ahead,
tips.
Mel. Go ahead, Mel.
There's a lot more to this than just what you eat. Of course, there is genetics. There's your overall lifestyle. There's depression and stuff like that can contribute to this. One of the problems with fat camps is that going back to what Ryan was saying is that it has high rates of recidivism. That's the key word here. And until
recidivism is only a term that's used in terms of
fucking money making scheme where
incarceration.
people go there to get skinny, come out, get fat, and then go back there to get skinny again.
That's why
I disagree. I'm going to push back on all that.
Guys,
I'm going to
do
push
not
back on
fuck
all that.
fat chicks and you'll lose weight. We've got to stop fucking chicks over 135 pounds.
Who's the asshole that paid to put Spicoli on? I hate you right now. Go ahead, Marte.
So I'm going to push back on all that. So this began before we even had like modern culture and society, even woven into present day. And I'll tell you how. They've eliminated PE programs. We've had kids on kids sedated with corn and all this other stuff, iPad culture and all this other stuff. So here's the thing. I'm an IFBB pro bodybuilder, and of course, I represent the fitness industry, not as a whole. But I will say that one ramification that is overlooked in this whole discussion is that our military enlistment rates have gone down due to physical capability, function, health, and everything else like this.
He's not wrong
That's
about
also
that.
adding to a decline, weakening our nation as well too, as a defense mechanism.
That's very true.
So.
No, the enlistment rate has nothing to do with
I will attest to that. I have seen the Shepherd Shuffle.
Make an exit, so if everybody could shut the fuck up while A makes their final statement. Go ahead, A.
Yeah, sometimes people gotta be shamed. Sometimes, it's in their best interest. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is to be humiliated if your life is going in the wrong direction. You need to feel bad for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'm really appreciative. I think that the idea of this healthy culture is kind of picking up right now. I think it's a good thing. And one last thing, I'm not making a medical statement. I'm just asking everyone to do their own research. There is a growing movement in this country about fluoride in the water. I'm not going to say anything one way or the other.
No,
I'm
it's
just asking people to.
It's so old.
I'm asking. All I'm doing is asking people to do their research on fluoride in the drinking supply. It is not informed consent. The government should not be medicating us. And I am going to leave. Thank you for having me on the panel.
Thank you, A. We appreciate you hopping on. And for the record, A was the first one to show up backstage. So kudos to you, A, for sitting back there so patiently waiting. I appreciate it. And Bree says, does this get rid of Spicoli? You got 20 minutes backstage, Spicoli. We love you.
It does.
He'll probably leave, but whatever. Nobody's crying.
If I can respond to Marte real quick. First of all, you said that like you're pro-Trump, right?
I'm a conservative. Yes, I'm pro-Trump.
What do you think about the general conservative cuts to the Department of Education, their general opposition to things like funding school lunches and stuff like that? Would you generally, would that be enough for you, considering the health of our children, to consider at least not voting for the Conservative Party next round?
So it all depends on where. So in order for people to cut, there has to be an addition somewhere else. Where's that addition going to? And that's my other question too, is like, so I will admit I'm somewhat right. So here's the thing though, I'm somewhat ignorant on this to some degree, but I will say that though, is that if we are going to make cuts, there has to be a wise decision on the other end as to where it's going to be functionally equivalent to make up for this. And there has to be justifications, is what I'm saying.
Well,
Doge created a room for $1.6 million of saving. And unfortunately, in that same savings was given to Elon Musk to create Starlink satellites across so that they can help the FAA.
That savings doesn't go straight to Elon, man.
And Melanie, you talk quite a bit. I don't talk very much, so I'm sorry for cutting you off.
I will agree with Durs because he is pretty quiet when he's here and he speaks only when it matters. So I will give him that credit.
I was just trying to have a back and forth. So if you actually look at where,
regardless of its truth, right,
tend to allocate spending, I'm actually going to quote the great George Carlin and saying Republicans don't give a shit about you after you're born. They only care.
George Carlin said that about all politicians.
Then you're fucked.
I would agree. George Carlin was pretty universal. So
I like. There's a couple comments I want to respond to. I'm a little slow on interrupting, so forgive me.
Go ahead, Pinkle.
On the idea of the school lunches that I heard a few minutes ago and more exercise in schools, that was put out about 10, 12 years ago by the left, and that was government overreach. And now it's being put out by the so-called right under the current RFK, whatever his name is, and that's a good thing. I don't understand the flip-floppery, and to say I'm pro-Trump and I'm conservative, that's a contradiction.
Okay, thanks. I was actually thinking that as well, but
I'm conservative, and you can be both.
I was going to say I can't fucking agree because what would have happened if we had voted the other way? If we had voted the other way, we would have gone off the cliff into communism. We would have dove straight off that fucking cliff. Look at where the progressives are going. Look at where the leftists are going. Look at where the commies are fucking leading the left-leaning party in our country. They're taking them straight the fuck off the cliff. Okay, we need strippers to read storybooks to kids in fucking school. We need bare titties on the White House lawn. We need some gay guy who steals people's luggage to manage our fucking fraudulent nuclear waste. This shit is unreal. People talk to me and they say you can't defend Trump. You can't defend Trump. How the fuck can you defend Biden? What the fuck just happened for the past 4 years? Are you kidding me? This is so much better. This is so much better. I don't care what's going on with these fucking controversies. Pete Hegseth is DMing his wife about fucking killing Houthis. I don't give a fuck. Okay, the shit that you motherfuckers pulled for the past fucking decade prior to Trump and with Biden, it's been ridiculous. It's been ridiculous.
You're saying deporting people without due process is...
I apologize. Mike Ball sends in the big 5 to throw Redhead back in the back. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to go step upstairs and refill my coffee. Ryan is in charge until I get back. If I get a bad report card on the way back,
they don't like being told what the fuck this shit is.
10 minutes. Okay.
Ryan,
fair enough.
Back to you.
I'm going to say one quick thing, and then I'm going to let other people go. I want to respond. Like, what happened over the last few years? Well, let's see. We had the Chips and Science Act. We had the Inflation Reduction Act. We had the bipartisan infrastructure bill. We almost had a border bill that would have massively increased the resources we need to process people at the border until Trump killed that bill by telling the Republicans to vote against it because he wanted to continue using the border for his political gain. So, I mean, when we talk about like all the things that Biden was doing over the last few years, a bunch of pretty helpful shit for the country, reducing the rate of inflation to the lowest rate compared to any other comparable nation. So, I mean, I don't know what that guy was going on about. We're going to go off the cliff into communism or whatever.
He was joking.
Yeah, I don't know what's in the cigarettes he has, but yeah.
No, I don't. I've learned with these people, it's not a joke. They really don't understand what communism is. They think that any sort of socialist policies is communist. They don't understand we live in a mixed economy where the government has to like essentially provide for the people while capitalism deals with our markets. And
Mel, there's a good reason for this. Everything has these firm walls, right? Like it's like, oh, my tiny little hot dog eating household.
Sorry, can I just finish
go outside the household
before we go off into some tangent? Because my point was going to be the only way you can support Trump at this point is if you hate democracy. It is just that simple. Democracy is respect for the law. Or you could say that the law is respect for democracy. It goes both ways. And Trump is not respecting what judges are telling him to do. He's not respecting the law. So I'm asking people.
District court judges don't have any fucking authority over the presidency. That's retarded.
Really hates democracy.
That's authoritarianism.
When a judge is trying to smuggle somebody out the back door as the DA in plain clothes is waiting to go ahead and make an arrest. That's literally a crime.
Area of the court into the place where the agents were waiting.
That's the best. So that's the best place to make an arrest because you have a car parked out front. They've already went through metal detectors, been cleared through weapons, all the other stuff. It's the perfect place to make an arrest. Where else could you do that?
District court judges cannot determine the president's fucking intentions. That's retarded. You can't do that.
In court,
the country doesn't operate if we do that.
The judge told me I couldn't do that. I did some research. One of a judge's job is to protect everybody in the courtroom.
I don't know, fucking twisted. I don't know, man. I'm just fucking.
Someone in the courtroom. Their job is.
I'm out here in the middle of fucking nowhere, fucking floundering. That's what I'm doing.
You can still walk somebody out and escort them out. A form of avoiding arrest is not protection. That's not protection at all.
Your way out, they fucking please. Okay, it's not a scandal at all.
No, that's not true. So when the guy escaped out of the back, he endangered
the fact that Trump hates democracy.
So when the guy escaped out of the back door, he endangered civilian lives and police lives when he did that to do the arrest. Yeah,
it led into the exact same place that the front doors to the courtroom do, and the ICE agents were right there.
I just want to point out that we were talking about fat camps and you guys still brought it back to politics again. So I'm going to keep it political, but I'm going to do a slight topic shift. This suggestion came in from Tiki Tack. He says, with the Department of Education under threat, should states have full control to dictate what their state's public schools teach? So putting it back to the states.
Yes. No, states' rights protectionism just takes away from the rights of the people.
Who's talking? Hold on, is somebody?
Well, I have two different feelings on that. I feel that there should be a federal standard of education, but I do believe it should be the state's right as it is their right to be a state. I do believe it is a state's right to teach anything extracurricular upon that.
There's a difference between having your own kind of like guidances and overpowering a mandated federal standard that makes sure everyone is taught to a certain level.
I'm going to lose my liberal card and opine that both sides both contradict themselves on what's state right and what's federal right to override the state's right when it comes to education, because both of them say you can't do this, you have to do that, although the this and that are opposite depending on who's the administration.
I agree, it's such a touchy...
Finkel, one of the big problems with this one is when we see standards drop only to the state level, we start seeing the dinosaurs in the textbooks. I wouldn't even want to begin conceiving of what the world is like with the dinosaurs in the textboots.
Why can't dinosaurs be in textbooks?
I don't want to see a banana falling from space and my kids learning about gravity then. Huh?
I'm sorry. I thought I was out, but I'm not.
Now, as a bleeding heart liberal, I'm all for states being able to teach what they want to, because that means lower education states like Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, they're going to teach their kids wrong, and our kids are going to grow up smarter. So have at it.
So I'm actually against that because of teen pregnancy rates. When you look at when the federal government mandated sex ed for all states, it wasn't nearly anywhere near comprehensive, but it was enough to drop the teen pregnancy rates once all the states.
So one socialist policy made it right, and so that all social policies should be right.
That's not a socialist policy. That's a mandate.
Okay, well, what is a mandate other than a socialist policy? I'm sorry, how do you draw that distinction?
Not all mandates are socialist policies.
Okay, great. So when the federal government comes in and tells schools how to teach sex ed, is that a mandate?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the federal government should not do that, in our opinion, as conservatives, right? So why do you think that the federal government should do that? Like, that's fucked up.
Why is some backwoods hillbilly telling the schools how to do education?
I was asked. Can I just respond?
Go ahead, Mel.
Because there's a public health interest that is nationwide. There's a nationwide epidemic of teen pregnancies. There's a nationwide solution necessary.
Okay, there's a guy trying to cut in. Let's let him cut it.
Go ahead, Duck.
Well, I just want to say the same thing again. Why would some guy who's making limoncello in his freaking bathtub or whatever it is, why would they be telling us what we should be doing right now? Like, I want someone who's heard the word scaffolding and wasn't washing windows to be doing.
Here's the concern is that you're dealing with regular parents and regular children, and these regular parents and these regular children have very different concerns from your very fucking ostracized and outraged and outlandish fucking ideals, right? What they're interested in?
Hold on, let him
what they're interested in is teaching their kids about sex themselves and about how to have a well-rounded relationship themselves. They're not interested in having the public impose that on their children.
So that's actually not true. Most parents are uncomfortable talking to their kids about sex, especially comprehensive sex ed, since they're not equipped to give a comprehensive sex education. Secondly, it doesn't hurt to have a second opinion.
I'm sorry. I'd like to see. I'd like to see some evidence to support that.
I will say, I think a parent being that they had a child, is equipped to be able to have that conversation. They know what happens. They know how to explain that and elaborate, and the birds and the bees kind of thing. The penis goes into the vagina kind of stuff. Like you are equipped. And I think the only person who should be talking about sexuality with their child should be the parent in terms of a educational standpoint.
Completely.
What about any other?
Well, that's sort of right. But what if they can deliver it through
know how
textbook
condoms
curriculum?
work?
Well, hold on. I don't know who else was talking.
But what about the teen mother who is a teen mother because she didn't know how condoms work? How is she going to show her kids how condoms work? She doesn't know how they work. She's a victim of improper sex ed.
Wait. Are you victimizing the teacher right now? Like, who cares? If the teacher's not capable of doing the job, the teacher should not be in that job.
The victim in that case would be the teenager who ends up getting pregnant because they didn't get the education they need.
We have plenty of Google for a parent to utilize as a tool of, here's some great ways and tips of how to teach your child this and that, and then they can take from that information and provide that information to their child the best way that they think that their child would understand. Because not all children are the same, not all children mature the same, not all children receive information the same, and I think that the only person who knows how that child learns best is their parent.
Sarah, can I ask you a question? Can I ask a follow-up question for Sarah? Can I ask
go ahead.
Okay, so my follow-up question is, not all kids in the United States have parents who, on a day such as Cinco de Mayo even, like some people, like I'm not judging, but like a parent might go out drinking or whatever today. And so what about children who, like, if it is the case that the parenting, like the family structure misses children on the sex education thing, is it so wrong to have like a textbook or something, like somewhere it fits
not
in.
mandated by the government. Not mandated by the government.
Here's what I'll say. Do you know why? Okay, if I feed you, if every morning you wake up and there's a bowl of blueberries for breakfast, and for lunch there's a plate with a sandwich on it available to you, and for dinner there's always another plate full of chicken, do you feel any need to go out and fetch your own food or survive or do anything of that such?
I would feel that way when I was around 14 or 15. I wanted my own money, but not I wasn't replacing the it wasn't replacing sort of household
Play
stuff.
with the hypothetical. Okay. Play with the hypothetical. Okay, if I served you food all day, every day, would you feel any need to get up off your butt, knowing that every morning you wake up and it's all just there? Would you have any need to go do anything outside of that to ensure that you are fed?
Not generally.
Okay, so where I'm going with this concept is for parents, we don't have to do anything anymore. And because we don't have to teach our children anymore, we don't have to do this. They'll go to school. The school will take care of it. There's nothing I have to do because they're already learning this at school. Guess what? Now we've lost our ambition to ensure that our children have the same survival skills, thought processes, learning techniques, researchability, resources, whatever. Because hey, they'll learn it at school. I don't have to teach them shit.
We need to get in here.
When you take away the need to do something and we just are lackadaisical about it, then the people are going to suck. But when you force people back into that, now that parent is forced into ensuring their child has the same survivability skills as they do. And some parents are going to suck. It sucks. That happens.
So if you landed the plane,
I asked for my spot to get in. I asked for my spot to get in. This isn't an argument against comprehensive sex ed being taught in school. It's an argument for sending home materials that encourage parents to be involved with them. And Sarah, I want to ask you a frank question. And it is very frank, but I think it gets to the point. If your child came to you and asked, how do I safely have anal sex? Do you think you'd feel comfortable talking to them about that?
Yeah, no problem.
Do you think that's reasonable to put onto other parents, though?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Who the fuck else? Who else?
That is your fucking kid. Do I want them to go to talk to some random stranger?
A trained professional
propagandist to teach them that they're fucking gay? Fuck you. No.
No.
Now, on one side, I
You
agree
guys are
that
putting
every
every-
parent
you guys
would
are
be
putting
the
way
best
too much on
person.
the trad value. Hold on.
Way too much on trad values here.
I want to ask you the question: Is a teacher at school prepped with how to have proper anal sex?
Yes, and your ick factor doesn't change that.
Okay, so
Your
they
ick factor
are
doesn't change
No
that.
is the answer. No is the answer.
no.
A sex ed educator
The
would
ones that voted.
And hold on, let
Democrat.
me. I got somebody backstage. Jew-Man, I just want to confirm. You're gonna have to voice confirm with me first, but I want to make sure, based on your name, that we're not gonna have like any type of weird hate speech or shit going on. Correct? Jew-Man, you are on stage. I need to talk to you. You're muted. There's a little button that you push.
He says he's gonna wait for a different topic.
Yeah, that's fine, but I want to at least get you up here. You can sit up here and hang until the next topic. But
Hey, come say hello. Why don't you, sweetheart?
Oh, goodness sakes.
if everybody else could shut up for a second. Jew-Man, I need to talk to you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, but I want to confirm with your name that like that we're not doing like any type of hate speech rhetoric or anything like that, or
Right.
like okay, all right. And what are you waiting for a specific topic in mind?
No, I'm just hearing what's going on.
You don't like this topic?
I came a little late, so I
Oh, okay, that's fair. All right, just hang on stage, and we'll all
it's
have a
stupid
good time.
because like if you apply to be a teacher, if you apply to be a teacher, by the way, you can't just say like, oh yeah, I'm qualified to be a public educator because I'm a parent.
No, they're usually not.
They could
You're
give the public
missing-
educator a
you're
few
missing
They have
tools
better
that a
training than
parent
you
may
would.
not
They
have
have
to
better
explain
training than
it
parents
by
do. That's my
study.
point.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Hold on,
Hold on.
I believe it is
Go ahead, Zers.
Fucking
that it is a parent's responsibility, and actually the parent would be best to teach their child about these things as
That's
far
not
as
always
sex ed.
true.
But at the same time, yes, give me a second, Melanie. But at the same time, parents seem to have a very hard time giving their children the tools to prevent themselves from being victims of you know what. And that is something that an educator would be more prepared to do, it seems, because parents just don't teach their kids this at all. Now, I'm not saying all parents, because my sister-in-law very much so instructs her kid, if anybody wants to touch there, if anybody wants to, if you have anybody who wants to confront you to talk to you, you don't talk to them. But anymore, it seems like kids are readily available to engage with adults for no reason whatsoever. I get this example all the time outside of my home on my porch. There's a playground right over there, right like 20 feet from my porch, and the kids will start when I go out to have a cigarette. The kids will just start having conversations
fucking
with me, like I'm the
undermining
best, they're
attitude.
best friends ever.
This doesn't
They've
sound like
never
land the
met
plane. This
me
doesn't sound like
once.
it's about looping them in.
I'm
It's
the
about
most
looping them
progressive
in.
person you'll ever meet, but that's also not me. Like, just to be clear.
Now,
You're
Duck
not.
was also
Fuck you,
hinging.
Melanie.
Duck was also hinging his
Fuck you.
argument on that the
You're sitting here with
schools aren't
Coder
teaching.
and
This isn't helping the conversation. Duck was
I don't give a
also was commenting on that the schools
Oh,
aren't
Duck,
teaching tools that the kids
Shut up,
can use
Duck.
in the future, such as learning to build scaffolding. You wanted people who are presidents that have built scaffolding, and that the schools aren't necessarily providing all of this.
What the fuck
This
are you
is
talking
your
about? The
job.
superintendent?
This is your job outside
board
of the
member?
school system to teach your child.
Okay,
What
so
the
I want to
fuck
push
are
back
you
on
talking
Sarah
about?
because earlier Sarah was saying that if you have these
duty.
resources
It's
in the
your
schools,
duty.
then parents are not going to teach their students right. But Sarah, I suspect that your children had access to a lot of these things in school, but you still felt the obligation to educate them outside of school about different things, about and supplementary things. You didn't suddenly not have any you clearly still had that obligation, right?
More of a corrective glance, actually, because the shit they bring home, the shit they come and tell me, stuff like that, and I have to go and correct
That's
that
fine.
based off of our family principles and values and what my parents taught me, and here's how we're gonna do it. So it was more a corrective. By that point, it was like going back the other way.
Well, sure, and I would consider that we can call it supplementary, right? Like you're adding, it's additive to what they were already getting, but you didn't. It's not like you were, you're not like replacing what their like their existing education, and you're also not feeling obligated to do it because they didn't have that.
Well, how much more confusion does that cause a child then? I went to school, I learned X, Y, and Z, and this is what my teacher said, and my teachers, these are the people who teach me stuff that I'm supposed to know, and then I come home and my mom tells me something different, and then now I have to like unlearn what I learned and then relearn something new, and then blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah.
that's complicated. But what percentage of
try explaining that to a kid?
I mean, how many? Here's what I want to ask you. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Ryan. I'm pretty sure for centuries upon centuries, parents have been instructing their children about sex and so on and so forth because, number one, we have continued reproducing. Number two, things have pretty been consistent with reproduction and across the board. I think it's agreeable that, look, you got married and now you're going to do something. And that's when the mom has the conversation with the daughter and the dad has the conversation with the for son. Centuries upon centuries, we've been doing this without education tapping into that experience. And now we've tapped into adding the educators into the concept of teaching our children about sex and removing the parents out of it. And now we got a lot of crazy shit going on.
So first of all, I wanted to say that like how like
abandon our principles
to the point of the confusion. There are so many people, so many American adults who believe that the Earth is like 2,000 years old. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of like fucking confusing things that go back and forth.
When you conflate those people with Christians, that's where you draw a real strong mistake, man.
You
I'm
down.
still flying the plane. You're gonna crash the fucking plane. I'm still flying the plane.
Kissy Cat says, "Don't go ahead, Ryan. Don't go ahead."
I got this.
Go ahead, Ryan. Hold on. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah. So second of all, it's super important that kids at least have a basic understanding of, we talked about like the no-no square kind of thing, right? Like kids need to understand
what the fuck is the no-no square. What the fuck is the no-no square? I don't know what that is.
Shut the fuck up, dude. Shut up.
I don't know what that is.
So kids need to have language to be able to communicate to a third party if they are experiencing sexual abuse. And if the parents are the ones doing this, they're not going to give them that fucking language. Okay. So
stay out of my fucking crotch, bro. That's it.
Hold on. I agree with yourself. I agree with no square conversation. Okay. And that typically happens preschool, kindergarten, so on and so forth. And I think with the parents at home, it's agreeable. Parents would be saying the same exact thing. Okay. Like if somebody touches this area or this area, these are no areas. And you need to tell, would you shut up, EOD? And you need to tell someone, so on and so forth. That is vital information. And I think it should be all around. And when all of the parents are agreeing on that concept and all of the teachers are agreeing on that concept, I think that's fair game. And I fully am okay with that. Because
if you're already teaching them,
that is protective, and it doesn't go into full. It doesn't go into full, like sexual conversations about things, and you're not talking about organs and what you do and grinding and whatever crazy shit and condoms and whatever.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack there. So first of all, if you're already giving them what is essentially comprehensive sex ed, then it's really not that much different than what they're going to receive from school. So you wouldn't have that much to worry about.
So let's talk about what comprehensive sex ed is. I want to talk about what that is.
Done, dude. Holy shit.
Let Mel finish. Let Mel finish.
If your parenting advice is so sound, is so universal that it'll mean more to them in that situation than what they learned in school, then I don't think you should have much to worry about there either. Finally, with what Ryan said, it's not just the fact that it could be, it's the fact that most people who are SA'd are done, it hasn't happened to them by someone they know. That's a very scary thing. Oh, sorry. And I have one more point. And the whole definition of comprehensive also means age appropriate. Things aren't comprehensive unless people can handle it to begin with.
Oh, really? So you think a stripper reading a fucking
close the flapper? I'm gonna get way fucking loud.
You think a stripper reading a storybook to fucking elementary school kids is okay? That's what you think? I just want to clarify that.
That is our banner for the evening, Mel. I love it. I fucking love that. That was all right. Mel gets a win for that one. Close the flapper. All right, go ahead, Mel.
when we say when we say in-depth conversations, we're talking about an age where they would be able to handle that to begin with.
Yeah, as in not a stripper reading elementary school stories.
You mean Daytime Story Hour, which is not just strippers.
They are strippers. They are strippers.
Why we
Okay.
started teaching sex
All
ed?
right.
Sorry.
Let me
Some drag queens are
here.
strippers. Not all drag queens are strippers.
So I just want to say one thing.
Hold
Can I
on.
say one thing?
Let me reset here, and then I'll hand it back to you, Doc. Finkel would like to make his exit. If you could all shut the fuck up and let Finkel say
Puddinghead
goodbye.
is gonna leave.
Finkel, I hope you find your body, bro.
You're muted, by the way, Finkel.
It helps to not mute. Yeah, I've been playing with my body types. I've been gender specific. Flow.
You're a brick wall right now.
I can't make up my mind. Now I'm Brick Jones. Anyway, as I'm heading out, this is an interesting conversation. I don't know where I stand because it's very complex, but it is hard to legislate what goes on in the classroom. It's even harder to legislate what goes on in the house as far as these discussions.
We should not do that.
Hold on, it's his exit. Let him just talk, please.
Where do we draw the line? I don't know. But when I leave, what you should educate the ladies on is which way to swipe on my image. Okay.
Hold on. Let's do this. All right. Everyone, swipe left or swipe right. If you want to swipe left, throw tomatoes in the chat. If you want to swipe right, if you want to shut up, if you want to swipe right, throw hearts in the chat. You've got 60 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Make your pick. We got to know left, right, tomatoes for left, hearts for right. I don't know. We got some tomatoes. John Mosman says no. He's swiping left. Doomerang swiping right. Keep going while you're going. John Mosman sends a big 5, says, hey, Sarah, just stopping by to say hi and sending some much-deserved bread your way. I would stay, but I got a stream tonight. Have a great stream. And to you, John, have a great stream as well. Kitty Cat sweeps. She's sweeping with brooms. ADEWZ sends fish. EOD sends tomatoes, swiping left. Flip Wilson. Flip Wilson has no idea what he's sending. These are like some little monster things. I don't even know what this is.
Fox emojis for swipe up.
Fox emojis to swipe up. All right, we will let you make your exit. Bye, Finkel. We love you. And Spicoli is back.
So I'm 49 years old. I remember how sex ed began in classes, at least when I was in school. They had initially started by giving you a permission slip to fill out so that you can have your parents provide permission to give you sex ed. Now, why was it started? The reason why
did they teach oral sex? They didn't.
Was primarily, hold on, sir. The reason why sex ed was started was primarily because there was an AIDS epidemic, an AIDS pandemic that was starting, and parents were having a hard time teaching their children about condoms. That's what most of my sex ed classes were about in my initial years, was the use of
about
condoms.
Not getting AIDS.
It has then ended up developing further.
About not getting fucking AIDS.
It was then ended up developing further into the caring for your child and reproductive and all of that. It actually had all of that in it, but it most certainly focused primarily on the need for condoms.
And by the way, the thing with the permission slips that you're talking about is called an opt-out policy. Those do exist, and there is some discussion. Like
it should be an opt-in policy. Why is it an opt-out? It should be an opt-in.
It was an opt-in. That's what I was describing when it first started. When I was in school, it was opt-in only. Your parents had to. The teacher gave you the option if you wanted to learn sex ed, and then if you did, you had to bring a permission slip, kind of like going to a field trip to the school, and it was typically 4 hours after school, or I think it was only 2 hours after school.
So wait, the people who are against this, like, is your goal to protect children? Is your goal? Sorry, I'm asking a question.
Spicoli. Listen, all right, hold on. Time the fuck out, Spicoli, because we need to learn some panel manners, sir. Like, it's okay to, want to jump into the conversation, but can you at least wait your turn and find, like, you just go off and you start spurging out, you start yelling, fat bitches, 170 pounds, whatever, you're gay, whatever stuff, crazy stuff all over across the board. Okay, but all of that shit is meaningless to the conversation. So choose your words and be intentional when you're on this panel, please. Mel, let me read this super chat because this one's to you and you can respond to it and then continue on if you want. Southern Man says a parent's main job is to try not to let the child turn out like Mel. And you're welcome to respond.
So this actually goes directly into my question, and I'm going to ask it, but then I'm going to just follow up, assuming that I'm not going to be able to ask any follow-up questions or anything like that. My question is your goal to protect children? Because if it is, I don't think you're doing a good job. Case in point is trans kids. If you are forcing trans kids back into a box, that's going to lead to worse outcomes for them. What we want, if we're trying to protect kids, is better outcomes and fewer forms of violence facing them. The best way to do that is to make sure all kids get a comprehensive sex education. They're not a victim of their parents' ignorance or prudishness or ick factor. The fact that you all have ick factors right now, to me, tells me that there's something that might get in the way of informing your kids on something they might want to know.
You are objectively false. Is what the ick factor is.
And so, all I'm going to say is, if your intent is to help kids, please do better.
I actually support sexual education in the classroom. I was making the point, trying to make the point that sexual education is required in the classroom, and in fact does need to grow over time to include, our social acceptance of sex. Which, I mean, in general, when it comes down to the church. When it comes down to the church position and all that other stuff, that all the other positions and everything is a growth of the way that we have sex, and I believe that should be taught to our children. I also believe that it is primarily the parents' responsibility, but in the same sense, I believe a lot of parents are slipping on major assets of sexual education, primarily the sexual growth that our society has went through and what they're not accustomed to. Let's say straight parents that only believe specifically in their children being straight, and when they have to try to educate their child on homosexual life, which their child ends up choosing on their own, and you could say, oh well, it was driven to them by whatever, or regardless, that person should be able to get some sort of sexual education in that manner, and just telling them no, God hates you is not going to help them at all.
Of course not. But
and I actually want Zers to read this super chat because I feel like it will sound more meaningful coming from you.
I like turtles.
That was perfect.
I like
turtles.
Good one.
Zers, would you be offended
Thank you, Micah.
Can I put that on the soundboard?
Tortoises.
Yeah, read it. All right, everybody shut up. Let's get one quiet one and just Zers to say it. Zers.
I like tortoises.
Can you say I like turtles?
You have to not laugh too. What are you doing?
Everybody
like
shut
turtles.
up. Everybody shut up. Do it again.
I like turtles. I will beat the bunny.
You're laughing. Quit laughing.
Look at the rabbit.
Wait, so since tortoises are terrestrial and turtles are aquatic, and a xenophobe is somebody who's afraid of extraterrestrials, does that make you a xenophobe?
I'm sorry. What the fuck kind of question is that? That's retarded.
I won't try to be funny ever again.
Here's
very, very poor technicality, I guess.
Okay,
yes.
so
I'm afraid of chicks with penises.
Here's the fundamental reality you need to understand, Melanie, is that women can never be funny.
Oh, good. So I guess I'm a woman then. Thank you. Thank you for
What if they have a penis, though? What if the woman has a penis? Then she can be funny.
Technically that's true, but
that makes sense. That makes sense because humor comes from the balls.
That's right.
I never considered
that's
it
where
that
it comes
way.
from. It comes from the seminical fluid.
Hold on, is Ryan
It's just
frozen?
ejaculate. Yeah, my joke was so funny it made him freeze.
Ryan's
you're funny
frozen.
now.
Nice.
I think he looks pretty.
It's a good picture, though.
Rip comrade.
Rip comrade. He'll be back in a minute. He'll be back. Oh, that's hilarious. I love that. I love it. I know. I'm sure I freeze in stupid spaces too. Okay. So that's funny.
Tasty woman can't be funny. Either you're saying Edie Patterson is a trans woman, which I highly doubt because she has kids.
Who's Edie Patterson?
You're
or
funny now.
You're
If
wrong.
a woman has a penis, she can be funny.
Boys have a penis. Girls have a vagina.
That's true.
Wait a minute.
Yep,
Sarah makes
back
me
to
laugh
the-
all the
back
time.
to kindergarten, back to
don't
the
know
no-no
if she
zone.
has a wanger.
All right. So the
Queen is
next
here.
question I wanted to roll into the next topic: death penalty for crimes other than murder. Yes or no? Let's go. Let's do this.
Yes.
Let's go around the panel
Yes,
and just
I'll.
say yes or no. Starting with you, Mel. Death penalty crimes. Death penalty for crimes other than murder. Mel, yes or no?
No, because it lets them off the hook easy.
Just yes or no. No. Redhead.
Yes.
Doc.
No.
Steelman.
No.
Zers.
I don't think the crime for pedophile
Yes
is
or no?
to be
Yes
enough.
or
so
no?
yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Marte. Yes. Queen.
I think anybody who murders somebody should be executed.
Queen, have you been drinking?
That's a rude question to ask.
A little bit. All right. You're going to be
She just
entertainment of the evening.
So
She's just been on the People's Podcast. That's the same thing.
Fair enough.
Sarah, I'd
Spicoli.
say no.
No.
I'd say no.
Jew-man.
Unless
Hold
I say
on. Hold on. Yes or no?
Yes.
Jew-man.
we're
no,
talking
unless
about
I tell Queen Nettie I want you to
Everybody,
JJ
shut
out.
up. Shut up, Spicoli. Jew-man. Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. I want to
would.
start. I want to start with the nose, and why
Queen, you
you.
look horny.
Oh,
Doesn't the
Jesus.
queen
That's
look
fantastic.
horny?
I
She
need to
looks
go to the
drunk
fridge.
and horny.
Spicoli, stop
Sorry.
you're making it a
but
degen
she
panel.
looks horny.
Steelman, I believe you said no. Let's start with you. You've been pretty quiet, and you're.
So
Are you muted? Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, just it's kind of like a due process issue, in my opinion. You're kind of depriving them of like the life of their due process, because we've seen technology come out, such as the DNA, that has exonerated people that were put to death. And so the people that were put to death don't really get that due process with that additional appeal that they would have had and used that technology. And so I think that's one issue that you don't know for sure. I mean, a jury isn't always right. Some people are convicted wrong. And so, yeah, new technology could exonerate them. Therefore, it's unjustified to kill them under that possibility.
Can I have the due process of going next?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, thank you. So I think punishment. Now, to be clear, I'm saying this with the caveat that I'm normally against retributive justice, but punishment, it ought to be something that someone suffers through, they endure, and maybe they transform. I don't care if they get freedom at the end or not. There are crimes where I don't think people should ever get freedom. And death is a sweet release from any suffering that most people say, right? Some people will say, kill me now. I can't bear the suffering. So I don't see how it's anything but letting them off the hook for their sentence.
All right. Oh, go ahead, Queen.
no.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Queen. Hold on. Let's let Queen go.
I believe that anybody who murders or rapes deserves a life sentence because they've ruined somebody's life.
Do you think they should get the death penalty? Or
Yeah.
at least have the ability to be sentenced to the death penalty?
If they've killed somebody, then they need the death penalty. If they've raped somebody, then they need a life sentence. If they've killed somebody, then they need a life for a life. That's what I believe in.
All right. Duck, you've been waiting patiently.
Yes. So I'll be very brief. John Stuart Mill said about free speech that the majority would be no better off proclaiming a truth if one voice is missing than if they had never considered it at all. That's a general quote. So the death penalty is the worst form of social injustice. It's a deliberate and considered attempt to lessen the number of voices in a state. It's intentional, and I don't believe the death penalty, and this is one of the few things that the Catholic Church has gotten horribly right throughout the ages. I'm not Catholic, I'm an atheist, but in no fucking cold day in hell would I ever back the death penalty.
Okay. Did anybody else say no?
I would also say no.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons Duck said. So I mean, I'm good. I don't need to elaborate.
All right, Zers, did you say yes?
Yes, I support the death penalty. I believe that if you have deprived an entire family and other people of the thing that they love forever, then you have done the most vile thing you could possibly do to humanity. And I do believe it is a punishment deserving of death. Now, of crime deserving of death. I also mentioned the pedophile end. You have done more than destroy a person. You have not only ended a person's life, you have ended that person's life when it comes down to children without ending their life. You leave them a scarred person for the rest of their eternity, because their eternity is until their eyes close forever. So you leave them a scarred person for their eternity. You have done worse to mankind than any man could possibly do by killing you.
Okay, but would you agree that it's totally antichrist to believe in the death penalty? No Christian can actually support the death penalty.
That is entirely false. That is
I
entirely
have an
false.
argument against that.
That's entirely false.
Go ahead, Marte.
So here's my thing though. If somebody breaks into your house, do you have an obligation to defend yourself?
Absolutely.
Right. And might that also involve death in the process of doing that, right? Saving your loved ones and cherished people,
That's the
right?
same thing.
Depending on
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold. Let me finish.
There are two people trying to defend this.
Here's the thing, though.
Go ahead, Marte. Go ahead.
Or robbing you.
Stop,
No, I don't think probably
Stop. Excuse me. Marte, please finish.
So here's the thing, though. You may say it's not the same thing, but who determines what the arbiter of the death is? Is it you or the law?
When
in
it's
your
the
home,
law, it's the courts. When it's you, it's you.
If it's you, it's you. But who grants you that it's you in your home? Who grants you that right to defend
you?
It goes back to the court.
Yeah, there's a very clear
by
legal distinction.
extension. So here's the thing, though. We can go ahead and extend this to adult being caught in the act with a child, right? If you're stopping that process of doing this isn't just home, this is everywhere else, right? How is this any different from defending the public? Because you have to also understand that if you take the death penalty off the map, you're also removing a deterrent from other people from doing this as well, too.
You're not. No,
Yeah,
you're not.
I
Yes, you
agree.
absolutely
You
are.
not only do you have the castle doctrine, to help protect you, but you're also granted the equal force, equal returning force.
Yes.
So if you come at me with a knife, I can come at you with a knife. And then also you have it's like the heat of the
We're not
moment.
saying it's not legal.
Hold on. You
Yeah,
also have
death penalty wouldn't go to that.
There's a premise he's good.
Still another Graham
Well,
factor. Pretty
he's
clear.
they're going down the route of it's not Christian like to want to kill people who try to hurt you or hurt you.
Which is
And
not
I
true.
agree, even
That's
at
not
your
true.
house, in
That's
your
not true.
castle.
So addition to that, you also have there's like a passionate like a heat of the moment defense as well.
Right,
So
and that's
like
what he
for
was referring
instance,
to.
if I walk in and
Yeah.
somebody's doing something to my child and I murder them in that moment because that's gonna boil my blood. I don't know about anybody else, but
Right, so we're
you
not
also
using an
have that
absolutist
defense as
fallacy.
You need deterrence, though, in society. Absent this, you don't have a deterrent. And I can have a rebuttal for this, too. So here's how. What's preventing
Before
somebody
you
from
add
breaking in your
another
house
little
right
point
now?
to respond to that point.
What's
Again,
preventing somebody
we're
from
not
grabbing a
using an
kid right
absolutist
now?
My
fallacy.
rifle
We're not using some absolutist
and my
fallacy.
dog.
We're not saying that in the moment of self defense or in the like a heat of passion moment or something like that. There can't be
Oh, of
exceptions.
course.
But we're saying that after the
And-
situation's
and-
calmed
and the
down, when
extreme-
there's no imminent threat of actual danger,
Hold on,
then you're just
EOD.
doing it.
Well,
Yeah,
the
once you're doing
problem.
that,
The problem
ahead,
with this
Scummy.
is you can say that there's no imminent danger, but what's the recidivism rate for PDF people that get out? What is the repeat rate? Do they still not have a
restriction? I know.
Go ahead.
Answer. Go ahead, Queen.
If you want to know what God says, if you offend one of these little ones, it's better than a millstone tied around your neck.
That's not an answer. So that's still an argument for keeping them in jail forever, life without parole. That's not an argument.
Lock them up. Prison reform.
You mean drain the system financially? That's not good either.
I just want to say I really like Queen. I hope she comes here all the time.
If you hurt a child, if you murder or do anything horrible to a child,
we all know it's bad.
Down the drain, in the wood chipper. Fuck you, you motherfuckers. That's right.
So I guess the question, all right. So I guess the question in terms of, hold on for just a second, Queenie. I guess the question and how it, Beetle Babe, where the fuck have you been? I see you. I love you. Get on here. So the question is now coming down to a comparison, right? So would we give somebody the death penalty for doing, let's say, something outside of murder? And the question we're correlating this to, well, would you kill him if you caught him in the act? Right. And so we're comparing the two because in essence, if you find them in court to be guilty, it's similar to
that's it. If you're in court if you're in court guilty, you're caught in the act.
Bear with me for that's
because that's a false equivocation, Sarah.
I'm trying to
It's not a false equivocation. It's not.
I'm trying to say that this is why we're going these two different routes because they are viewed upon in this similar direction. So if you're in court and they find you guilty, it's almost as if they were there catching you in the act themselves because all of that evidence from that very moment comes forth to you and you put yourself in that position and say, would I deem them would I kill them? Would I do this? Would I deem them guilty? Yes or no, based on that moment. And then that's comparable to actually being there in the moment.
Yes.
Would somebody, and let's also add in that sentencing is separate from actually finding them guilty. Sentencing is the next step. So there are two different factors. Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to say that I understand what you're saying about how it's similar to catching them in the act, but the distinction is important. The reason that we would not be as concerned with somebody killing someone in the moment is because they're in that moment. They are not just reacting to the situation in front of them; they're also protecting the child in that moment. Okay,
that's false.
Shut the fuck up! Dude. So. No, they are also protecting that person, right? So they're putting an end to the violence that's happening in that moment. That's important. And second of all, people keep saying there's no deterrent without the death penalty. That's just not true. Death penalty is one possible punishment, and then there's all sorts of other, like life in prison is also a deterrent. People don't want life in prison. There's nobody who's deciding whether or not to commit a crime against a child who's like, well, if they kill me, I'm not going to do it. But if they locked me in prison forever, I think I'm okay with that one. This is just like completely.
Well, you could also argue against
let me ask you this, Ryan. If your child comes in and tells you that 20 minutes ago some kid pushed them down off of the slide, and you sit there and you look at them and say, okay, that sucks, I'm sorry, nothing I could do about it, right? Do you think that child now feels protected by their parents or person that they told, or do you feel like maybe they actually believe, wow, there is no justice in this world?
Well,
we didn't say there's nothing you can do about it.
What does this have to do with the death penalty?
Guys, let me answer the question.
Thank you.
She asked if somebody pushes the kid, and then 20 minutes later I say, oh, there's nothing I can do about it, if that kid's going to feel protected. Probably not. But the issue is not that I'm not saying I'm going to go kill that person. I can still do something about it without killing them, right? That's the distinction.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is do you think that child will believe that they are going to be protected later in life if even if let's say you do get up and you go and you talk to that other kid's parents, and that other kid's parents is like, okay, whatever, like I'll punish him for the day. Do you still feel like that your child is protected in that moment? And I know it's a weird analogy,
it's a
right?
great question. like because I have a memory like when I was in elementary school. I have a very specific. I have like a tough ass dad, right? And like when I remember a kid that like pushed me around or bullied me in elementary school. I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but I remember getting pushed around by this kid. And then I also remember a school event where my dad confronted that kid's dad at Chick-fil-A, and I was like, hell yeah, Dad! Like you know, like he told this fucking guy off. He's like, hey, you know, you gotta take care of your kid, keep your kid from being a fucking bully. You know, I don't remember exact words, but I definitely felt very protected by my dad asserting himself to this other parent and saying, hey, this is not okay. You're not
are we still talking about the death penalty?
And I was gonna say, are you gonna want to grow up? If you grow up as a kid with a dead body on your hands because somebody was killed in your name, that's also probably traumatizing.
I want to point out that like everything we've talked about since Sarah brought up the various laws that protect people who use self-defense have nothing to do with the death penalty or what informs courts use death penalty. It only informs the courts
scenario. It's how
it only informs the court on whether or not the person is of guilt. The sentencing is different from the assignment of guilt. So going back to the death penalty component, I'm going to bring up yet again.
Goodness, the sentencing is different than the assignment of
people
guilt.
are probably more afraid of eternal suffering than they are of just dying. There are times where I've just wanted to die before. That might be a reason why someone might be like, oh, maybe I can kill people now because I don't care if I'm going to die.
Do you think you're the only person who's ever struggled with that?
What the
are there people who are
Have you never heard of a murder? Have you never heard of a murder self-deletion before? Have you never heard of a murder self-deletion before?
Big Five says, do you like your steak cooked over medium rare? Does anybody like anything over medium rare?
No, rare medium rare.
Have you never heard of murder self-deletion before? Yes or no?
Seriously,
dude.
dude.
Super chat right now.
I know you don't want to respond to this because
it's fucking toss, bro. Chill the fuck out.
I said murder self-deletion.
Shut the fuck up.
No.
It's not toss. Stop bullshitting.
Shut the fuck up.
Does anybody here like?
You shut up.
Okay, well, you're gonna take a little time out, okay? Because I'm not like, you know the rule about reading super chats. You know this. I was gonna give the conversation back to you. I just wanted to read the fucking super chat. We do this all the time. This is how we operate, and I always hand the microphone back. It's nothing new, Mel. It's nothing new at all. So, I want to ask, Redhead, do you like your steak cooked over medium rare? Yes.
No, I like it rare. I like it rare.
All right, Marte.
Medium rare.
All right, Steelman, you don't even eat meat, do you?
I want to address that because he's actually addressing me, saying, "Well, if you don't agree with the death penalty, you shouldn't eat meat." And so I don't eat meat, and I don't agree with the death penalty.
That's because you're so quick.
Oh my god, Queenie, do you like your steak cooked over medium rare? Yes or no?
I would like my steak medium.
Medium. Oh,
yeah,
I
think there should be a death penalty.
Bates.
Duck.
Depending on the crime, if somebody rapes and ruins somebody's life and somebody murders, they should be.
Fair enough. Duck, do you like your steak cooked over medium rare? Yes or no?
Current vegan. I did medium rare, and I would do mediums, finishing it in the oven when I was.
All right. Zers, medium rare and below.
Well, because I'm a caregiver for a heart patient, I eat chicken, fish, and pork, or chicken, fish, and turkey. When I do get a chance to eat steak, I usually go with
come on.
So that's like seriously cooked.
All right, Marte. Did I already ask Marte?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, medium rare.
Yeah, he said that.
Okay. And then Juman, medium rare.
Yep.
All right, and Dragon Rage. Oh, Dragon Rage is his stuff disconnected. All right, Mel, answer the question: steak, medium rare, or beyond?
Oh God, Mel.
Fuck off! I'm not here for a low IQ discussion. This is how we never get anywhere with these discussions.
This is the super chats.
What do you mean to get anywhere?
Stop. Hold on. Stop. This is an open panel and a topic roulette. All right, and I specifically said at the beginning of this whole fucking show was, if you want to change the topic or you want to interject, whatever, you know what to do with the super chats. Micah sent something funny, just like we took a time out for the turtles thing and you got your little soundbite for it. So it works for you when it works for you, Mel. But if you want to like continue screaming at people and we interject to read a super chat, you have like a freaking meltdown like a cow.
Rules
right?
for thee and not
Chill
for
the
me.
fuck out.
Take.
Right. Chill the fuck out and enjoy the ride. We're here to have some fun tonight on Open Panel Topic Roulette. All right.
You literally cut me off while I was making a very plain
Yes,
point
because
about
you were spurging Mel and nobody fucking cares. All right. So
I was
back
making
to
a
whatever
very
the
cogent
fuck
point
Mel wants
about
to- you know
how
what? You know what?
there's an
I'm out.
incentive
I'm out.
to
Mel's in
not
charge.
get killed. Yeah, there's an incentive to not get killed. Or sorry, there's an incentive to not be through internal suffering. Yet, however, if you don't care about dying, which some people don't, look up murder self-deletions, then you know maybe you won't consider that to be a huge consequence, and death penalties getting off the hook. It's that simple.
Can the same argument be made the other way, that there are people that don't
No.
mind staying in prison for
There's
their
not
life?
people who want to stay in prison for that long. There's people who got like families and shit.
Marte, I got the impression that you were in the military, bro. Are you in the military?
No, not in the military.
No.
I'm a pro athlete, but not in the
No
military.
shit, man. Like it seemed like you spent some years in the military, man. I don't know. I spent a lot of time around veterans, and you seemed like one of our camaraderies. Right?
I mean,
if I have to hear about a veteran,
No.
I'm gonna freaking puke. So let's get back on this track about
Wag
how
Wong,
vegetarian.
Yes, thank you.
Mel,
Me and
you
Mark,
got
we
5
gotta
minutes
chop it up, brother.
backstage.
Oh,
All right,
I didn't
there
do
you
it. I
go.
didn't do it.
Can I say something to Mel? There is no eternal.
You can say whatever you want, Queenie. You, the night is yours.
There is no, I don't want to disrespect or interrupt anybody. There is no eternal suffering in hell because hell doesn't exist.
Oh boy.
Good
All
point.
We are in hell right
Oh
now.
my goodness. I hope
There-
not, Queenie. I hope not.
Hey, what's wrong with that though?
What's wrong with
Why
living
don't
in
we-
hell?
why don't
Everything is wrong with living in hell.
No.
Why
Why
do
don't
you
you read the
think
Bible
there
backwards?
was
EOD, why don't you read the Bible from Revelation to Genesis? Why do you guys
Because
want
it starts
why do
at
Christians want
Genesis and it
death
ends at
penalty?
Revelation? Is that why are you asking me that question?
Yeah, but it was written by dipshits.
It was written by dipshits. Oh, okay. So you're an atheist. Okay, that's great.
The Bible.
All right.
There is no hell.
Here's a little topic shift. This came in from Zers when we posted. He says, is it against the law to teach your 2-year-old child algebra and geometry?
Oh.
Or is it that a child of a
No.
designated age needs to be instructed schooling? Or in structured schooling?
Yeah, I
Well,
think
no,
that
I
was
think
a
it's
reference
12-year-old
to
algebra.
somebody saying that it was against the law to teach homeschooling in Germany. And I don't know if necessarily the argument of homeschooling in general is against the law in Germany, or if it's that your
Surely
child
not.
at a certain age has to go to school.
All right, and I will back it up and I will ask the original question that you were toying with. From Lauren, she says, in Germany, it is illegal to do homeschooling with your children. Do you think this is a good or bad stance on education? All right, Queenie, why don't you go ahead and kick us off? Do you think it's illegal to do homeschooling, or do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing if
It's
if
up
we-
to the parent. I think it's up to the parent.
It ought to be.
Okay.
That's how it is in the United States
Steel
for the
Man?
most part.
As
Yeah,
long
just
as the kids, as long as the kid's going to be able to manage after school, after this homeschooling, and they're going to be able to get a job and everything. then it
Socializing
doesn't
is a
matter,
problem.
does it? Yeah, they need to socialize with other kids. You can't isolate your kids.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree with that. I think that the social structure is very important. And
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 'cause we
No,
need to
they can still
expose.
they'll still have social structure even as a homeschool kid because you can still take them to soccer practice and other activities as
No,
well.
we need
too.
to expose our children to more degen culture as much as we can. That's a great idea.
I don't believe with homeschooling. I think kids should make up their own mind.
I also think the concept of homeschooling is that, especially with regards to socializing, is that in life we generally socialize with people different ages and of different types. But in school, when we're in the same class or the same age, it's not real socialization. So even that argument of, kids need to be socialized in school doesn't really stand, because majority of socialization, like I said,
occurs outside of school, outside of structure. Yeah.
Well,
so that argument against homeschooling doesn't work.
I got a question. What if I were to prove to you though that like, irregardless of what the macro data on education outcomes says, like homeschooling actually does produce specific benefits for some students in either math or reading or something, wouldn't that totally justify supporting programs that support parents in homeschooling?
Yes, I agree. I think that because the kids learn quite a bit.
That was for Jew-Man. I wanted Jew-Man to follow up with what he was saying.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was arguing for homeschooling. Against the argument against homeschooling, which is socialization.
And Steelman, Sarcastic Saint comes in with a big 5 and says, Steelman in the back for 5 minutes for looking like a walking corpse on that video game. The mortuary assistant, eat more meat because you need it. All right, Steelman, you got 5 minutes back.
Comb your beard. He's got so much freedom. Or like Steelman. He's all right.
Are we all in agreement about homeschooling?
I think so, yeah. I think we are.
Can I read the next super chat and respond to it?
Is there no? Hold on, let me.
Can you make a point that's not completely retarded?
All right, Southern Man, go ahead.
Government should have no. I'll do the whole thing. Southern 777 with the $5. Government should have no say in how you raise your children. Public schools are why we have children like Mel. Yes, public schools are why you have people who are scientifically literate and have critical thinking skills and media literacy. It's wonderful.
Yeah, get the fuck on panel.
I think education. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say also, because I know they're saying like, like trans people, like, we obviously there will be trans kids who would not be out or be able to express themselves the way that they feel more comfortable expressing themselves if they're being suppressed, right? So schools that allow them to actually exist as the way they are, then yeah, we're gonna have more people like that instead of probably more dead children, frankly.
For fuck's sake, man! That's such an emotional appeal. That's all Democrats. That's all Democrats have is emotional appeal. It's all emotional appeal.
What is the percentage? What is the percentage of the self-deletion rate for trans?
Over 50% untreated.
Okay.
And it's higher when there's unacceptance. From
I don't accept this fucking degradation between treated and untreated. That's retarded.
Because it's been declared as, or I don't know, at least so what I've always heard is that it's like body dysphoria, right?
Gender dysphoria. Yeah.
Gender dysphoria.
Okay,
body dysmorphia would be like bulimia and stuff.
No, it's not far off. They're pretty related.
Hold the fuck on.
They're not that related.
So would you say that it's like a mental health issue, right?
Yes, I agree.
However,
hold on, let me land the plane. So I mean, wouldn't we be in agreement that most people with mental health issues would have a higher self-deletion rate to begin with?
Yeah. But that's why we treat the gender dysphoria, not try to take the trans
you're moving the goalposts. You're moving the goalposts. Don't people with gender dysphoria have a higher deletion rate? That's the question.
Yes, that's why.
Yes is the answer. Yes is the answer.
Mel was 5 feet ahead of you. Yeah, Mel wasn't moving the goalpost. You were behind her. So recorrect your question if you're going to ask a question.
My question was that wouldn't people with mental health issues already have a higher self-deletion rate to begin with? So is it necessarily just because they are like going through gender? What was it? I'm sorry. The gender dysphoria.
Gender dysphoria.
Yeah. So is it because it's gender dysphoria, or is it because, back it up, they have a mental health issue?
Yes, I agree.
This is what clinicians This is what clinicians are trained to kind of detect before they prescribe even testosterone or puberty blockers, testosterone blockers in my
It's
case.
called trauma.
Hormone
I know. I've known people through my own experience.
It's not trauma. So one of the things that they might get you to recount is your gender history.
You're just cutting this lady off. What are you doing?
And they live in.
Hold on. Go ahead, Queen. And I apologize, Queen. That was my fault. But let me interrupt. I have Steelman still has 1 minute backstage, and then he's going to have to hang out. But I also have Corinth hanging backstage as well. So if you want a panel shake up, you know what to do. Queen, the floor is yours.
Right. I know a person personally who became a woman because he was abused by a male gender when
Did they say that?
Yeah, he's told me personally he was abused while he was in care by a male person, and he became a woman.
It's fucking disgusting. I think
really
that's more
line up.
often than not.
Those things
I really
don't
do.
really line up because
No,
what we see.
I know I had a female friend at school. She became a lesbian because she was abused by a man.
Okay, so before I get my five, I would love to have you respond.
Identities.
Go ahead.
It's something you need to
Doc.
understand.
Hold on, Doc.
I do
Mel,
believe-
hold on, please. Mel.
I
you've
do
got-
believe
Hold on, Queen.
that-
Hold on, Queen, because Mel wanted to respond because she has to go back to the backstage again. So Mel, if you want to, you got 30 seconds to respond. And then if you want to read the super chat, go ahead. I think it's a funny one.
These things might correlate because victimization rates for people who are trans and gender non-affirming are higher, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because they were abused, they became trans. What we see is that a lot of people who are SA'd, even as kids, do not end up being trans. And even where SAs are higher, there's still the same amount of trans people.
All right. And Sarcastic Saint in with the big five says, in the famous words of Elmer Fudd, it's Whooby Weezin, and I'm hunting whoobies. Bugs Bunny is taking a season off, so Elmer loves hunting whoobies. Furby 5 in the back. And I've got Corinth coming up, and I still have Steelman. His timer just ended, so if you want to get him back up here, you got to boot somebody else off. But other than that,
So
go ahead.
No,
I got to respond.
I want to follow up on that real quick. I just want to say one important
Ryan.
thing to that. Yeah, so I want to say that let's so I think it's important to acknowledge what Mel just said, which is that like the LGBTQ children are disproportionately likely to be abused in the first place. So it's more they're kind of begging or framing the question backwards. But second of all, let's imagine that the inverse was true, that somebody who experienced that abuse was more likely to express LGBTQ traits later in life. The solution to that would not be to suppress their LGBTQ-ness, right? The solution to that would be to accept them for who they are.
We don't want the government to suppress anything.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. If that trauma did influence them, that's okay, and they should be able to understand that and still express themselves and be themselves without being verbally abused by people on panels and and also just existing in a world that treats them like shit for dressing in a way that they don't think matches their fucking genitals.
Here's the contrary to what I'm trying to say. We don't want the government to suppress anything. You want the government to actually affirm gayness, to actually affirm transness, and what you're doing is you're actually taking kids that are straight and turning them gay in order by exposing them to some sort of trend or some sort of sociological kind of normalcy where it's not okay to not. It is not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt you. I tried not to interrupt you. Okay, but what I'm saying is that there's an elevation in the idea that being gay, being trans, being queer is somehow normal and somehow cool, and that is affecting our kids. That in a negative way. In a negative way,
isn't encouraging.
It's affecting our kids in a negative way because you're turning straight kids gay. That's not cool.
Let me respond.
Yeah,
it is normal for there to be some percentage of the population that is gay. It is normal for there to be some.
I didn't say there wasn't. I didn't say that wasn't true. I didn't say that wasn't true. I didn't challenge that at all.
I understand.
I have a question for Ryan.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm telling you that it is normal for there to be some percentage.
I didn't
of the
challenge
population
that.
Is these things, and that's going to exist.
I didn't challenge
so
that.
Go ahead, G-Man. What's your question for me?
So you're saying that the self-deletion rate this people that identify as trans, they self-delete when they are not affirmed and when they are not allowed to, I guess, express themselves in the full view. That would make the question is, wouldn't then the self-deletion rate have gone down substantially, or at least you would visibly have gone down?
What are you talking about?
It's a good question.
No, I hear what he's saying. Yeah, I hear what he's saying, Doc. Let me clarify to Doc. What he's saying is, if we're affirming like this kind of gender neutrality, transgenderism, gay, straight, whatever, LGBTQ, all, if we have come out and said, okay, fine, we affirm this, we're okay with this, you are accepted into the world, or at least into this country, we're actually now protecting you and doing all of these things. So if you want to come out and do all of this, you're allowed to do it. He's saying if we've gone all of this route to ensure that they are protected and comforted, then shouldn't the deletion rate have gone down?
Yeah, so I let me engage, because they're about to send me to the back also. I'm going to engage with this. So what you're going to find is you can't look at it at a nation level, right? What you would look at is the individuals and what their experiences are with the people around them, right? That's the thing that's going to be the determining factor, not whether or not California is more accepting of trans kids on average. It's going to be whether or not the people who are raising them and the family they have around them and their teachers and all these things, whether the people around them are accepting them, not whether or not the state recognizes their transgender status, right? So I'll see you all in 5 minutes.
So then why would the
answer the
state
question?
why would the state, I want to answer, why would the state or federal need to affirm it then, if it all just depends on your friends and family?
You're not wrong, TVO.
So the state's not
I don't think
asserting
you're
a
wrong
federal. It's not about a federal need to affirm. It's about federal recognition that people should not.
Why
be,
did I do this to myself? I really don't know.
People should not be like abusing these people basically for existing as in the way they are. Like that's and since we don't really have these protections enforced broadly. So
I don't have anything against gay people. I really don't.
Are still growing up in environments that are extremely hostile to them. And I mean, this should be very obvious to anyone who's been on any of these panels, because
we don't need to
look around. The people here are absolutely disgusting towards trans people. Like Mel annoys me sometimes.
Disgusting towards trans people.
Insane the way she gets treated on these panels. Like it actually makes me sick.
I don't think it's necessarily. I don't think it's because she's trans. I think that's just the easy target. I think because she acts like an asshole.
Yes, it's because she acts like an asshole and you act like an asshole. You both get chastised equally because you act like assholes.
I also act like an asshole.
Hold on, because Neve comes here and never has any issues. She's very well respected and accepted on these panels. And overall, I mean, not to say that the chat doesn't do their things, because there's weird people in the chat.
Constantly, right?
There's people in the chat that do that shit, but as far as being on the panel, I think she's very well respected, and I think because that's just the environment we create here is if you don't act like an asshole, then we're gonna treat you with respect. But if you act like an asshole, we're gonna treat you like an asshole.
I mean, who's got a problem with the raging tomato panel?
I think I often act like an asshole in reaction to being treated like an asshole. But first of all, second of all, what I'm pointing to is that the kinds of comments are not just about like Mel being annoying or whatever. It's also like direct, intentionally misgendering constantly, right? Like
because she acts like an asshole. Like I said, it's an easy target. Just the same as your tooth thing, right? Like the first thing that they go for is the tooth thing.
I didn't go for the tooth.
They don't care about
the whole reason I brought it up is just to say that like that is the thing that people target, right? And similar, I mean, like we can, yes, it's also common for people to like make fun of people with weird teeth. But like if people are raised to reach for that as an insult whenever someone is annoying them, right? Like this is the environment that people are growing up in, obviously, because all the people here, or not all the people here, but a lot of the people here do that. So it's demonstrative of a broader trend, right?
That's I just want to mention too, interpersonally, can you wait, give me 1 second.
Hold
can anyone imagine
I do have to send Ryan to the back. We got 10th man. I don't want to hear
actually being bullied for a week though.
I was summoned by the topic.
That would be horrendous.
Here's what I'll say. I was bullied all through high school. It was constant. It was never ending. And it started very early. I was just a city girl that got moved into the, country where they all grew up together.
You're not lying, Davia. You're not lying.
It was a very lonely world.
That's the
And
truth.
and I was just the easy target. I was made fun of. I was poked at. I was bullied. I was harassed. I'm kind of thankful that the online presence wasn't very prevalent back then, because that probably would have been an extra terrible thing that I would have had to tell. And guess what? All I did was grow thick skin and say, fuck you. I don't care. Right. Not to say it didn't hurt, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm perfect. And that was just for me existing. That was just for me existing. I looked exactly like this. I was a blonde. I'm a little person, whatever.
With
Like, that
blushy
was just
cheeks,
for
blushy
me
cheeks.
showing up, blushy cheeks. I was a little tomato. Okay. And it was just for me being there. I didn't do anything wrong to these people. I didn't start problems. I was very quiet. I was very chill.
Jealous.
I didn't start shit. And I was just tormented on an almost actually a daily basis.
Okay,
All right?
so Sarah, I have a slightly different one. I when I was young, I had a small friends group, but in like the broader social context, I was one of these people that hid, right? I was always hiding. Like, I didn't want to be the center of
You don't
attention.
say.
I was extroverted with people, but like, and so, I don't know who the fuck said that, but
That was me.
let me finish. And so I do have an enormous amount of understanding and sympathy for people who feel like they can't hide. And you go online and these people are just they're monsters, and they feel like it's okay. And beyond that, it's so difficult, even on like smart YouTube, to find information that's actually helpful. It's affirming in those small ways that don't promise a magic bullet. And so, I guess since Mel and Ryan are backstage, anyone in the audience, this is kind of the right place. People are really supportive, but in the broader, bigger scheme of things, there's tons of people here for you.
I tell you this, Duck, man, is that anytime I fucking stomp your ass in a debate, I'll do it based on your fucking arguments, not on who you are or your immutable characteristics, not in any way whatsoever.
And just let me do some logistics here. A shout out to the Powder Dusty, also known as Flow State, also now known as Flowmato. Thank you for the raid. We appreciate that. Backstage, I have waiting. I've got Joseph waiting to come on, and then we go back to Mel and then Ryan in that order. So if you want to switch up the panel, you know what to do. I want to say bullying it sucks. It hurts. It's painful. Been there, done that. Nobody can sit here and tell me anything otherwise, and I will still remember those nights of crying and whatever. But I think this is also a way that society beats out the weakest link. And if you are the weakest link and you let shit like that get to you and all of those things, well, then you're the weakest link for a reason, right? You have to toughen up. And this is where I think parents are a very vital piece of this conversation with their children, and that sense of protection and so on and so forth is an added flair. I still felt very sturdy knowing I had my brothers and my family, and everything else was stabilized. So what these other people said didn't fucking matter to me. So
that's all it takes. That's the thing, though, is being able to have that belief in a support system. I mean, when people have a belief in the support system, then nothing else really matters.
That's true.
You're not going to be able to eliminate descriptors from society where people will bully people. Because this is the thing, to Sarah's point, is that if you eliminate all bullying on the planet, right? Think about the human body. If you eliminate all germs, everything else, the first time you have a bacteria infection, it kills you, right? So we have to think about things as far as like adversity, suffering. They all serve a purpose. Bullies serve a purpose. Things like this. I think it's about your perception too. I mean, there has to be like people like this in the world. They do serve a purpose, and we forget about this. If you live in a bubble the whole time, the first thing that happens kills you. We have to develop some type of resiliency towards this and some type of defense mechanism, something like this. There is a purpose and place for that, and I think we can't live without that.
I agree. And let me allow Jew-Man is going to make his exit. Jew-Man, if everybody else shut the fuck up. Jew-Man, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so this whole everything that you guys are saying about the bullying and you have to grow thick skin and you should learn from it and become stronger from it. I don't think it really addresses what the question that I was asking, because as far as I see, the transgenderism and the things that have been created, the safe spaces. And not only that, but all the medical sciences that have come out and all these different things, it is I would say, much better to be a person that has gender dysphoria nowadays than it was than in the olden days. And it still doesn't answer the question as to why the self-deletion rate is higher now than it was when people not only were being bullied, but also the society itself would either put them away, and there were subjective things that were done, objective things that were done to these people, as opposed to now it's more subjective, meaning that a person technically that has gender dysphoria can live a good life with going through taking all the puberty blockers and having all these medical things done to them and all these other things. And technically, they can live in a community where they are affirmed and they are affirming each other. And yet, we still see the self-deletion rate is very high.
Beautifully said, you man. Beautifully said. Yeah, there's always optimism and hope.
Right, I agree with that, but you have to leave this bubble sometimes, and you have to get out there. Case in point, there's been instances where people get in the dating market and they are, trans. So there's this big discussion that's happening right now. When do you tell your partner you are,
dude,
right?
If I get into bed with you and you got a dick, I'm getting the fuck out.
Right. So this is my point.
You're legally married. You save it for marriage, and that's the only time it comes up. Surprise, brother.
I think that's a bad prescription. So, do you let them know on date night, or do you let them know up front? Because there's this huge discussion. I would just want to ask a question. When do you let them know?
Marriage night, you're promoting degeneracy by making sexuality relevant before marriage.
Marriage night, my fucking ass. You know nothing about marriage, apparently.
If I may.
Apparently I do, because I'm promoting good traditional values.
So, we got to go back to the bullying thing for a second, if you don't mind.
I can't believe I'm relying on the gay guy right now.
Do you mind?
Are you really? Come on, 10th man. Let's do it.
Gay? How do you know I'm gay?
Because you told me. Because you fucking told me, dickhead.
No, I don't remember you. I don't remember you. So this is the problem: is calling someone fat's not bullying. Right, I'm tired of this nonsense. I don't know anybody. Has anybody here been fired for being gay? Has anybody here ever been beat up for being gay? I have.
That's not bullying.
Most of these people. Hold on. This is stolen valor, along with stealing LGBTQ.
Do not conflate this with stolen valor. That's bullshit. Don't conflate this with stolen valor.
I went through real hardship to get rights as a gay person, and now I watch a bunch of people sit around going, "That person called me the wrong pronoun. Where? Shut the fuck up, you whiny bitch."
Yeah, we get it.
I never see these people getting beaten up by 5 or 6 people at the same time. I don't see any group beatings to these people. No. Oh, you said a word that made me sad. When? Did you ever get fired from a job? No. Oh, poor baby.
So here's the thing: is you went on the assumption there that nobody had been bullied for gay.
Oh, I'm sure Melanie has been.
Were you?
Were
you beaten for
any
being
kind of victimization
trans, yes
you can fucking imagine has happened to Melanie? I
no,
guarantee you.
Stolen valor, Mel. Stolen valor.
Okay, we're doing this. Yeah, let's go.
Oh boy.
So yes, I will tell you about.
Hi, Mel. You know I like you, right? But you go ahead. I'll be respectful. Go ahead.
There are places where if you show even the slightest hint,
you got a 13-inch wretched.
You live in
gotta
that
be
place.
kidding me.
Is
Hold
an
on, I can do better
all-boys
than that.
group home. Yes, I grew up in one, and let me tell you, I went quickly in that place from being like, I don't really care what my gender is. I'm
Oh,
just
look
gonna
at
be
that!
myself.
I got 14.
I know I'm not attracted to men, to being called
That
Fairy
shit's
Boy
totally
to
random. I
pretending
didn't
was
plan
this
that at
rough and
all.
tough, hard man really fast, and that creates a very fractured sense of self.
Yeah, my own uncle, two of my uncles called me Fairy Boy because I had long fingernails because I hadn't trimmed my fingernails. That's not bullying. Have you been beaten up physically by more than one person at the same time calling you the F
at an
word?
all
Yes or
boys
no?
group home, dumbass?
Yeah, I'm just answer the question. Yes or no?
At an all boys
No, you're
group
now
home when you're the
giving an
weakest link?
illusion,
What
not
do you
a
think happens?
answer.
No, it's not an illusion.
This is a
I got my
man
ass
versus a
Have you
woman.
been
right
beaten
now.
up? Yes or no?
Yes.
Was
I keep
there
saying,
blood?
what do you think happens
man
at an
has
all
been
boys
beaten
group
into the
home?
No, that's the first time you said yes.
You think it's very
Talking
fun
to a
time where
woman
everyone's
who has
beating
never
each-
had
No,
any
you've
inconvenience in
clearly
her
Was there
fucking
blood?
life.
You've clearly never been in an
Was
environment
there
that's
blood?
directly hostile towards gay people.
Yes, I
directly
have many
homophobic,
times.
where they will
Yes, I have
beat
many
your
times.
ass literally if they found out you were actually gay, unless you beat theirs
Yes.
first. So let me
Yes,
tell you
because I'm a
something.
lot older than you when it
Let me tell
wasn't
you something.
acceptable.
I know
I was
what
chased out of my elementary school by a teacher
Yes, man.
screaming, "We
You
used to
seem
put you
confused
people
about
in
what I am.
This
institutions."
is why I respect
Yeah,
gay people.
you people too, right? So I know what I am, Tense Man. I'm not what
Yes.
I was when I was pretending to be a guy, so that way people wouldn't pick on me for saying I was something else.
Irrelevant.
Well, if you
Your
want
feelings
me, you're talking to the genuine
don't
article right here,
matter.
buddy. This is the
Your
genuine
feelings
article
don't matter.
that you're talking to. Well,
Your
no, this
feelings
is my
don't matter.
reality. This is my reality. I can feel like I want to be a man all I want. That won't change it.
No, see, there's a big difference between me calling you a dude and a teacher chasing a child out of a school saying we used to institutionalize you, because that's the government doing this to you. I'm not.
You're not the government. I agree with you that you do weak
Right.
as fuck bullying. And there's a difference between
So you don't get to tell me anything.
Honestly,
No, I'm not telling you
I
anything.
Can learn
I'm
a
agreeing
lot
with
Do you
you.
know how many times at work?
Your problem.
Do you know how many times at work I get asked, "Oh, what did you and your wife do?" No. Do you know how many times at work I get asked?
Did they bully the gay out of you? Yes or no?
No, because I was big enough to fight back.
Yeah, and I was smart enough.
Okay.
Because let me tell you, I had a lot of people tell me, "No, you're actually a man. You have dick and
What is
balls.
this? A
That's
gay
not how it
fucking
works."
circles right now? Who cares? Come
Well, no,
on.
they were just wrong like you were.
Yes.
And I was smart enough to realize that because I
Yes, you are.
understand gender.
How come when you get a surgery to change your gender, there's only two choices?
You ain't right, man.
Well, no,
you ain't
there's
fucking
such
right.
a thing as non-binary trans people. You know that, right? There's non-binary trans people who.
So if somebody thinks they're a Barbie doll, should they just have it all
That's
just
what it
covered
is.
over?
It's
it
my
works in
gayness is
directions.
bigger.
It's a
My gay
spectrum on a
dick is
bimodal
longer than
plane.
your
So
gay
you can go
dick,
one direction
motherfucker.
or the other.
Look at this shit.
Yes.
I got
And
beat
all
up
the
more than
courts are
you
gonna
got beat
make
up.
that decision.
This is
Right? 'Cause we're
what
done.
fucking Twitch
Woke is
turned
dead,
into.
all right?
This is
So,
what I'm
do you
trying
know
to
how many
flee
times
from.
at work
What are we
per
doing?
month? Come on, we don't have a lot of time. We don't have, no one cares about your feelings.
Courts that are defined.
Do you know how many times?
The courts that are defined.
You had a lot of time.
Those are the ones
Do you
you're
know
gonna
how many
rely on.
times per month I get asked, "What did your wife and you do for the holiday?" or things like that?
Yeah, that's called.
But I have a husband, right? And I just act like they said husband, and I move on because it's not my job to go around policing everybody's speech, Mel. You're destroying what the LGBT. No, you're destroying what the LGBT.
Turn this into the queer fucking Olympics. It's a queer Olympics.
What we built. You're destroying what we built. You're destroying it.
Stop trying so hard to be a victim. No one's doing anything. We stand in solidarity with you.
For some logistics, we
No.
still have Ryan is up next, and then I have Orthodox Guy hanging backstage as well. If you want either of those two up and you want to shake up the panel, you know what to do, chat.
You know what? I want to shake up the panel. I want to shake up the panel right now because I'm gonna drop out. So it's been fantastic, Sarah. Thank you for having me. Thank you everybody for talking and having a good time and being a reasonable human being for the most part, except for the Furby. The Furby's not a reasonable human being. That's okay.
Adios,
All right.
fella. I just want to point
Cheers.
out real quick.
Y'all have a
to
nice night. It's
before-
good seeing you.
Hold up.
Take
Go
care
ahead,
of
Redhead.
yourself.
We'll see you later. Thanks
right.
for stopping by. We
EOD
appreciate you.
696 on YouTube. Come find me. All right.
Oh, sorry. That was my fault. Go ahead. say
I
it
said
again.
EOD 696 on YouTube. Come find me. All right.
We got you.
I just wanted to point out the.
Oh my god, I'm done. I'm so fucking done, dude. I don't give a fuck anymore. Are you kidding me with this shit? This is what is this? What
trying to say that bullying has no utility, but both of you never made the argument why bullying has no utility. So I could say anxiety.
No, I'm talking
has
about there's a
utility,
big difference between the government bullying you and a citizen. That's what I portrayed here.
I made my
And then at the end, I also explained how it's not my job to tell customers and work people that I have a husband, not a wife.
Yeah, okay. Every fucking panel 10th man comes on, he fucking dominates. So he's also pretty conservative, ironically enough. Ah, man. So I'm not nearly opposed to that. I'm not. Really not. So I tell you what. We'll find something in here that I'm gonna leave you guys with, and I guess I'll call it night. It's only midnight. If you want, we can jump into the fucking live chat and do some shit. I really don't care. But I'm gonna have to go back to the story. That's okay. I can do that. I can do a 6-pack. I'm good with that. I just find it so disappointing that there's so much great fucking music that we could listen to. But YouTube won't let us listen to it. They just won't. They don't want me to share with you my taste in music. They don't. I hate that. I could sit here and talk to you about music. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Because that was fucking wild. It was wild. You know, I'm done with it. It isn't going anywhere. It isn't gonna go anywhere. I thought the Marte guy had some promise, but he is far too complicit in being silent. And so am I, frankly. So am I. I don't want to be. I'm not going to sit here and fucking passively fucking promote this shit. I'm not for it, man. Okay? You know what I'm for? Is like going out at 2 a.m. and smoking weed and drinking some beer and picking up some bitches. Like, that's what the song is about. But I can't play that song because that's a YouTube copyright restriction. For sure. I was kind of enjoying the day guy owning the trans woman, says Devia. Yeah, well, that's done already because they brought the trans woman back and they brought another gay guy back. It's on the trans woman's side, so it's a bomb. It's okay. You know what? Yeah, you do panels in the amount of volume that Sarah does them, and you're gonna have these probably more often than not, I would guess. I tell you what. I'm gonna end our YouTube stream. Goodbye, YouTube. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being here. Thank you for acknowledging my existence, and hopefully this will remain for the